Hello, my name is Myk Pono, and I'm a product manager and go-to-market strategist. I'm a founder of Go-to-Market Institute, and our mission is to empower entrepreneurs, product managers, and go-to-market teams with strategies and tactics to help them build, market, and grow great products. Today, I would like to talk about effective customer interviews. But before we go into that, let me make a few announcements first. I'm going to be hosting a free webinar on conducting customer interviews where we're going to cover essential steps in conducting customer interviews. And we're going to have some time to do a Q&A session and answer any questions that you're going to have. This webinar is going to be free. I will add the link in the description of this video. I will be also hosting a detailed course on how to plan, set, conduct, and do everything that needs to be done in terms of conducting effective customer interviews. This course will be a total of 4 days or 2 weeks. Over the weekend, it's going to be Saturday and Sunday. Each session is going to be about 1.5 hours to 2 hours, and it's total going to be about 6 to 8 hours. It will include Q&A session, some exercises, frameworks, and I will provide templates for you that will include interview scripts and outreach messages. So with that, let's talk about 10 biggest customer interview mistakes that people make. In the last 15 years, I conducted over 300 customer interviews, and those are typical mistakes that I personally made early in my career, and I still see a lot of people make this mistake, and I wanted to share that with you so you'll be aware and take steps and make your interviews more productive. Number one, a lot of people, a lot of companies go into interviews with the idea that they want to validate their solution. It's a wrong approach because the first thing you need to understand is understand the customer problem. How big is the problem? What problem do you want to solve? How that fits in the priority of everything else that happens. It is the wrong approach to go into the interview with already having a solution and try to validate the solution. First, you need to understand the problem. Another related mistake to that is people come in for existing products and try to validate the feature or try to prioritize the roadmap. It's not your customer's job to prioritize your roadmap or to tell you what feature to build, because it's easy to say yes to everything. And it's also not their job to find solution to their problems. It is your job as an organization, it is your job as a product manager to figure out how to solve that problem. But before you can do that, you need to understand this problem well, and you need to understand everything that happens around this problem. Problem validation comes prior to solution validation. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make. Number two, a lot of the times people just come into the customer interviews and just wing it. They don't create any objectives, or the objectives are very vague. So before you start customer interviews, as you create your customer interview script, make sure that you set business objective first, and then this business objective could have 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 5 research objectives. So for example, your business objective could be, we want to launch an MVP product to solve problem X. Now, the research objectives could be, what is the problem we would like to solve? How this problem fits into the priority? Who would be an ideal customer profile? Who would be the most interested in trying this product early? And what type of companies would find this problem more appealing to them? Everything, the research objective should cover everything that will help you achieve your business goal. So business goals is something about yours organization can do, and research objectives is all the different types of questions that could help you figure out how you and your team can reach that business objective. Number three, a lot of the times people go into the interviews without conducting a lot of research. It is the wrong approach because you might be not getting maximum out of your interviews. Therefore, before you start your interview, as you create your business objective and then your research objective, go and do some research. Understand what influencers say about this problem in the marketplace, understand what some research studies, read what others do, who are the competitors, what are the problems that are related to the problem you're trying to solve, what are the things that, or what are the products that are complementary to that product. This research will help you understand, or at least think about, where do you want to take this research? What kind of questions do you want to ask? What kind of hypothesis do you want to create that you want to validate during your research? So make sure you conduct some but like really pre-discovery interview and research in the industry and marketplace before you start your customer interviews. Number 4, not creating a detailed interview script. Well, first, let me say that you're not creating your interview script so that you can read it from it. You're creating interview script so that over time you understand how you want to structure your conversation with the customer during the call. So for example, the customer interview typically starts with opening, where you introduce yourself, each other, and then you ask some generic questions and you set the goals for the interviews and set the expectations from the customer for the interview. Then you have a research phase. This is the largest part of the interview, where you're going to ask a lot of specific questions about the different problems that they have and context and related. And at the end, you're going to have a wrap up where you want to make sure that you summarize main points. You're going to figure out what's the next steps and maybe even set up opportunities to talk to this customer again. And this is typical how the interview looks like. So when you talk about the interview script, it's a kind of set of questions that help you navigate through different 3 phases of the interview. And you want to understand what kind of questions do you want to ask. At the same time, when you create interview script and you write down questions, it's not that you're going to be reading it one by one, but over time, you're going to just scan through this interview script and you will remember what questions do you want to ask. Often you're going to try and experiment with different wording of each questions and and this will help you sometimes to follow up or to clarify something or ask these questions in a different way if the customer seems to be confused or doesn't know how to answer this question. So create customer interviews. It's a very important step. You might think that you know all the answers, but it will save you a lot of time and your interviews will be more successful. Number 5, it's one of the mistakes that people make, that they are talking to the wrong audience. If you're early in a product building, and let's say you're a startup and you're trying to understand whether you want to build this product or not, you might want to have a series of interviews that are very wide. For example, different segments. Let's say I want to solve problem for salespeople, and I want this problem to be solved through a SaaS solution. I might talk to different enterprise companies, different size, different stages in retail, in enterprise software, in e-commerce, and so forth. And then another piece of that, I might talk to a different level of job titles of people in the company. I can talk to chief revenue officer or VP of sales or director level or individual salesperson in the company. And on that stage, it will give you understanding, okay, this problem that I want to solve, who is this problem important to? Is it important to individuals? Is it important to the high-ranking individuals? Is it important to everyone? What different industry? And that will give you all these different types of feedback. However, when you are going to figure out the next step, you want to make sure that you are targeting the right audience. You want to make sure that you're talking to people that actually can give you insight on this problem. And sometimes you're going to talk to the wrong people, but then make sure that you refine your ideal customer that you want to interview or ideal profile, and make sure that you change this profile or adjust your profile depending on what things do you learn from the interview. Number 6, a lot of the times people don't ask enough open-ended questions. Do not, and one more time, do not ask close-ended questions that could be answered with only yes and no. Because if you ask questions like, do you use this product? Do you have this problem? It's easy to say yes and no or no, and you're not going to get insightful feedback. Make sure that you mostly, if not always, ask open-ended questions like, please tell me about the last time that this problem occurred. can you tell me the last time I bought this product? So that in this way, you will be able to hear the overall process that the person goes through when they have this problem, and they're not going to be very specific answer yes or no. So ask open-ended questions and limit the amount of yes or no closed-ended questions in your research, and then you're going to get maximum insights. Number 6, focusing not focusing enough on context and not validating the problem level. What it means is that it's not just important to understand the problem itself, but as part of this problem, understanding the problem and how it occurs, it's important to understand the context. And I'm going to give you an example that I've heard in a TED Talk, and I think it's a great illustration of what the context means in the business world. Think about the value of Big Mac, right? If you're driving a highway, there you have a lot of options to eat. You see McDonald's and you drive through, and you might have a cost of Big Mac at $5 to $6. I'm not sure what it is right now, but let's say it's $5 to $6. And this is one value. But imagine the context in which in which you experience Big Mac is changing. For example, you are stuck on an airplane somewhere where you cannot get out of a plane, you cannot access any other food, and somebody in front of you has a fresh Big Mac, and you're extremely hungry and you want to buy it. You might be willing to pay $20 for it because you are starving and you don't have any other options. So this is a same Big Mac in a different context. And in one context, it has value of $5, and in another context, it has value of $20. So this is why, as you're doing research for your problem, make sure that you understand and you ask questions that help you understand the context, because it will understand what level of problem that is and what type of value that problem, if that problem is solved, could the customer receive. Similarly, if you think about all different types of problems and challenges that the customers face, you want to make sure that you understand where in that list the problem that I want to solve actually fits. For example, if this problem fits, it's my number 5, number 6, it's not very high. I probably will never get to this problem. It's not important for me. If this problem is top problem that I have to solve, or top 3 problems, then I will be paying more attention on how to solve it, and it becomes more important for me. So make sure that you focus on context and you understand the problem priority in the customer's eyes. Number 8, simple. A lot of the times we're talking too much and we're not listening enough. So talk less, listen more. And one thing that I want to highlight here, that it happens quite a bit, and it happens to me and happens to a lot of people who have done tons of customer interviews. It's probably one of the most difficult thing to do, is that when you come to the customer interview, you ask the question and you hear the awkward silence they have to think about. And this awkward silence kind of pushes us to explain something or to clarify questions differently. And I would suggest to wait this awkward silence, because you don't want to put ideas in the head of people that thinking about how to answer their questions, and you don't want to put the words into their mouths. So you want to wait, you want to hold on, you want to embrace this awkward silence, because typically when you ask those questions that require customers to think, is those answers that will give you insightful feedback, and those are the most important. So embrace silence. They can be awkward, but take a deep breath, let them think, and let them come up with an answer without interrupting them, because you want to get as much insight as possible. Number 9. Well, I started my career about 15 years ago. There were not as many recording and solutions. And back then you had to do phone calls. And it was extremely difficult to have a phone call, try to think. First of all, try to listen. Second of all, try to think what follow-up questions you want to ask. And then actually also make some notes while you're recording. Today, all those tools allow us to do the recording. Please ask the customer whether they are okay to being recorded. Most of the times, 95 to 99% will say yes, and you'll be able to record, and you should use that opportunity. And Recording does not mean that you don't have to summarize your notes after the call. One of the things that I recommend people do when they conduct customer interviews is that just figure out a couple of blocks daily that you will do. So for example, you can put aside 2 hours where you do 3 interviews with your customers, and at the end of this 3 interviews, you spend 30 minutes summarizing some of the findings that you had. Typically, I would create an Excel or Google sheet where I would say who's the customer, their title, a link to the recording, summary of the situation, a summary of the company, maybe a couple of bullet points of top feedback, and then maybe a paragraph of description. So what it does for me is that as I conduct 20 customer, 15 customer interviews, I can go back, easily scan it, remind me myself where and what feedback I received from what customer, and then go back and even re-listen those parts of the interview easily, so I don't have to spend time and trying to remember who said what and how to find this information. So record your interviews, ask for be recorded, summarize your interview notes so that you can come back to those notes later on. Number 10, and it's the last one, but it's also important. You have to conduct continuous customer interviews. What it means is that, yes, you might have a problem, and if you're a startup, you're building a new MVP, you want to conduct 20, 30 customer interviews. If you have an existing product, you want to figure out whether there's new problem that you want to solve or not, and you might conduct. But regardless, effective product teams, effective organization talk to the customers regularly. Make sure as a product team, for example, I would recommend to conduct at least 1 customer interviews per week, or at least a couple of customer interviews on a monthly basis. More the better. There's also a couple of proxies. They're not as good as the live customer interviews, but they could be a good alternatives on early stages. So for example, shadowing the calls, sales calls, just sitting on the calls, listening what they have to say, maybe even participating live. Sometimes you can actually listen to those recorded sales calls, and you can learn more on your own time what type of objectives you hear. So those complementary ways will be extremely important for you to get customer feedback on a continuous basis. However, I would also recommend schedule regular customer interviews, because they're going to be essentials to building great products and building an organization that builds solutions for the customers that actually help. So just a quick recap. The 10 biggest customer interview tips. First, validate the problem, not the solution. Set business and research objectives. Conduct discovery, due diligence research before. Create interview script. Outline who do you want to interview and adjust this audience as much as you learn. Ask open-ended questions. Number 6. Number 7, focus on context and product priority level. Number 8, talk less and listen more. Number 9, record interviews and make notes. And number 10, talk to your customers often. So good luck. Let me know. Please, just again, quick announcement that I'm going to have a free webinar that's going to talk about a little bit more about how to create the strategy and how to conduct customer interviews. It's going to be free. We're going to do some Q&A. Please look at the link below and sign up for that webinar. And also, I'll be hosting a course, which is going to be about 6 to 8 hours. On that course, we're going to work with you step by step on how to set those interviews, how to plan for them, and how to do everything in terms of conducting effective customer interviews that provide you insights and actionable insights that you can use to build your product. And it will include a bunch of templates, exercises, frameworks, and it's going to be helpful in your strategy of conducting regular customer interviews. So if you found this helpful or you got any questions, please like, subscribe, leave a comment below or any questions. And thank you. I hope this was helpful, and I hope to bring more helpful information as part of this Go-to-Market Institute, where our mission is to help you bring the best strategies to build, market, and grow great products. Thank you.